awesome nominees, amazing music that kept on pushing the boundaries of quality and technicality for SEIYUU artists and 2D groups. Memorable performances and outstanding CD releases. It's time to check the winners, as voted by you, at the Hand That Feeds HQ Awards 2023. Let's kick off this episode of SEIYUU Lounge. Welcome to SEIYUU Lounge. I am your host Vanessa, and today's topic is the Hand That Feeds HQ Awards 2023, the winners. This is a condensed episode featuring your choices for Rising Star of the Year, 2D Group of the Year, 2D Music Project of the Year, Best Band or SEIYUU Unit of the Year, Album of the Year, and of course, Solo Artist of the Year. In the next couple of days, you are going to find extended articles on the Hand That Feeds HQ's website. Those articles will cover the winners, just like in this episode, as well as everyone else that was nominated. The interesting part about the written features is that, besides the winner, no other SEIYUU or 2D music project band 2D group is ranked. And that's because while there is some popularity component to the Hand That Feeds HQ Awards, there is also the other side of the coin, celebrating the music, artists and projects that put a smile on your face in every given year. And while I will unveil the winners in each category, I will not unveil the votes anyone got. The last thing I know and I want is petty fights or disrespect by or between fans that can't accept that these awards feature is to celebrate music, not to feel superior or to put down other SEIYUU artists, groups or projects. So please do not bring negativity to what is a celebration of good music, talented voice actors and stories, plus performances that move everyone. Now, without further ado, let's check the winners of the Hand That Feeds HQ Awards 2023. Rising Star of 2023, Shoya Chiba. Shoya Chiba was back in his groove in 2023. The talented SEIYUU was active with Erosion, Inmate, Sphere Rise, Tokyo Color Sonic, High Joker, and Killer King. Everywhere you looked, he was there. And that was a good sign, especially as Shoya Chiba made sure that for each group, he sounded unique and on top of his game. So back in 2021, I mentioned that Shoya Chiba was really starting to come into his own on stage. And now, even on his recordings, you can hear just how confident he has become. This was an important step in his career, as after a 2022 in which he may have started big but the rest of the year ended up being quiet, this change showed that Chiba was determined to improve and give his all in 2023. So last year it was like a switch was flipped, and he was absolutely killing it as a performer in all the 2D music projects he's involved in. Shoya Chiba is in a perfect place as a performer for all the 2D music projects he's a part of. And finally, his solo debut happened with the impressive first EP, Blessing. After an outstanding set of performances in 2023, this is your Rising Star of the Year at the Hand That Feeds HQ Awards 2023. Best 2D Group of 2023, ZUL from the Idolish 7 franchise. ZUL kicked off the year with its first one-man live show, ZUL Live Legacy: A Pause. With a set filled with urban, fiery dance tunes and the occasional R&B and rap rock tune, the talented quartet part of the Idolish 7 franchise showed how impressive and cohesive they can be on stage. If their performances at Idolish 7's franchise live shows up until now hadn't been enough to convince everyone. Later in the year, the group released its second album, Square, and oh boy, it was one of the best albums of the year, even if it arrived a bit later in 2023. This album elevated the group's quality while showcasing new sides to them, all wrapped up in a series of pop and rap rock tunes that make an impact. SEIYUU pushed the envelope in 2023 and is your 2D group of the year. 2D Music Project of 2023. The Idolish 7 franchise is your best 2D music project of 2023. This is the second time in a row for this franchise, which shows just how much love there is for it. But that's not all. It also shows a franchise that, despite not having an anime adaptation in 2023, still presented fans with the 8th anniversary songs, the release of a new album by SEIYUU, as well as their first one-man live show. It is also the franchise that, in 2023, was all in for a CGI live show movie, releasing a tie-up album that feels exactly like attending a show. And let's not forget that 2023 kicked off with Black or White 2022, one of the best albums of the year, yet again, an album that feels like you're listening to a live show recording. For all these and more, the Idolish 7 franchise is the best 2D music project of 2023. Best Band or SEIYUU Unit of 2023. It went down to the wire for Trignal as they had basically tough competition from Servanity. However, Trignal took the crown of Best Band or SEIYUU Unit of 2023. They marked their return from a long hiatus with the release of the mini-album Ironakatachi, one of the best albums of the year. In my opinion, hands down the best album of 2023. And did so by perfecting what they had been doing right back in Tricolore. The group focused on having every member perform in a style comfortable to them. At the same time, there was a clear separation of vocals to highlight how much every member grew as a singer. The songs chosen and composed for the group sounded tailor-made for their style, vibe, and vocals. Everything fell into place in the best way possible. And after so many years away from the public, Trignal left a big mark in 2023, being simultaneously one of the best comebacks of the year, as well as your best band and SEIYUU unit of 2023. Album of the year. Of course, Yumo Uchida's Why emerges on top after a tough head-to-head battle with Trignal's Ironakatachi. In celebration of his 5th anniversary as a solo artist, Yumo Uchida created his first ever series of digital singles, culminating in the release of his 3rd full-length album, Why, easily one of the best albums of the year. In this album, Yumo Uchida focused on showcasing his versatility as a singer and performer, showing his singer-songwriter skills for the very first time, and was daring with performances that added violence and sexiness to the mix. After listening to Yumo Uchida's Why, you will not only be impressed by his growth as a solo artist, but also by the near-perfect close to a 5-year chapter of awesome tunes and outstanding performances. Now I believe you and I are excited to see and hear what Yumo Uchida releases next after celebrating such an important milestone such as a 5th anniversary. If you haven't checked this album yet, oh boy, you're in for a ride. And if you have, you know very well why this was the popular choice this year. Yumo Uchida's Why is your album of the year. Solo Artist of the Year. And making it a double and also going head-to-head until the very last second with Toshiyuki Toyonaga, Yumo Uchida emerges as your Solo Artist of the Year. In 2023, Yumo Uchida celebrated his 5th anniversary as a solo artist, and with that arrived a series of digital singles, his first ever digital single series, and a set of new songs, each exploring different music genres, vibes, and even singing styles. Later on in November 2023, those would wrap up neatly in the 3rd album, Why, one of the best albums of the year, actually your album of the year. After an amazing 2023, Yumo Uchida is your solo artist of the year. Once again, thanks to everyone for participating in this year's The Hand That Feeds HQ Awards. These awards are yours, and I believe that even if you don't agree with some of the choices, all the groups, projects and SEIYUU artists nominated are amazing on their own and deserve your love. If this was the very first time you heard about the Hand That Feeds HQ Awards, please know that early in January 2025, there will be a new voting open for you to participate and let everyone know about your favorite CDs, artists and 2D music projects. Make sure to follow the Hand That Feeds HQ's website or the YouTube channel, Twitter or Facebook accounts to not miss when the voting opens. If you want to know my opinions on 2023's best songs, albums, the voice actors that impressed me the most and more, head over to the Hand That Feeds HQ's website or check the description for direct links to my Year of Review 2023 features. With that being said, now tell me, who was your solo artist of the year? Alternatively, which was your favorite 2D music project or group in 2023? Let me know in the comments on YouTube, and remember, leave your comments as complex or as simple as they may be, and you can be featured on upcoming episodes of SEIYUU Lounge. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss the Hand That Feeds HQ's weekly male SEIYUU and music-related content, hit the subscribe button. And if you are listening to this episode on a podcast listening platform, please consider following the podcast and leaving a review. Leaving a review is really simple and helps other people find this podcast and fall in love with male SEIYUU artists and 2D groups. I'll return next week with another episode of SEIYUU Lounge. Thank you for listening and see you guys around.